We have seen a statement by the Minister, July Moyo, in regards to the conduct and structure and service of councils across the entire country, where the Minister has made a statement that there are not going to be any structural changes in council, something that is illegal, something that is ultra-vires, not just the provision of the Constitution, but also in terms of bylaws in this country. So I'm here with our Secretary for Local Government and, of course, the Mayor of Harare 1, Councillor Jacob Mafume. You have seen him in newspapers and other social media platforms for his challenges that he's been facing in terms of executing his mandate given to him by ordinary people in this country to run the city of Harare. So I will hand over all the proceedings to the Mayor. Comrade Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Spokes. Thank you, everyone, for attending at such notice, short notice on Friday. We appreciate the support and your attendance at the levels that you have attended. The issues that we seek to address are very critical, and that is why we have called the press conference urgently. They do and relate to service delivery. We have had elections. It's a month now since we have had local government elections and parliamentary elections. And people are beginning to question as to what is the status of service delivery, not only in Harare, but across the country. So today I will speak as the point person on local government for CCC, and I'll also speak as Harare 1, the first citizen mayor of the capital city of Harare. As you are aware, as the spokes alluded, I have not been allowed a day in office or a day of peace. I'm constantly suspended, and I'm sure that after this press conference, another letter will come. But such is the nature of the politics and the pettiness that we are getting from the local government ministry. As a brief background, we had a lot of our councillors removed from office. We held by-elections where the CCC regained control of the major cities in the country. We regained control of Mutare, regained control of Harare, regained control of Chipinge, regained control of Marondera, regained control of Blawayo, regained control of Kwekwe, Gweru, you name it. We are now the majority in those cities. And the mandate we were given by the cities is to carry out the vision of our President Nelson Chamisa to bring about effective service delivery and to put the citizens at the center of our service delivery issues. Since the elections have been held, there have been delays in the swearing in of our councillors. Right now in Kwekwe, they have still not sworn in the councillors. They are ducking and diving. The town clerk, the chamber secretary are scared of swearing in the councillors. We have made numerous calls, numerous attempts to have those councillors sworn in. They've gone in the swearing in date by a mile. The council still refuse to swear them in. The others, Epworth, Chitungwiza, and so forth, which we have regained control, we are still having challenges of them being sworn in. The result has been that meetings of committees in those cities have not been held. For a month, all the cities have not held meetings of committees because the Ministry of Local Government and the Zanu PF appointed secretariat are refusing to swear in duly elected councillors. This is a route that Zanu PF adopts. Our President Nelson Chamisa won, and they refused to give him power. We remember what happened with Morgan Tangirai. He won. They refused to swear him in. Now we have councillors coming in. They've delayed their swearing in. It takes a month, a whole month, to swear in after the election, to swear in councillors. Now that they've been sworn in, no committees have set because they do not want to put the councillors in the committees. Now, if you understand, after the abolishment of the executive mayor, we now have ceremonial mayors. The executive functions of council have now been put in committees. So a committee is the most important organ of any city council in Zimbabwe, because it is a committee that executes the executive functions. It is made up of a group of councillors and secretariat, and they make the day-to-day decisions that are supposed to be made for a council to function. In other words, if there are issues on waste, the environmental committee meets and decides on those issues. If there are issues on health, the health committee meets, decides on those issues. If there are issues on finance, the finance committee meets and decides on those issues. For Harare, we have not had a committee meeting for a month because they do not want the duly elected councillors to be part of those committees. They do not want us to reconstitute the committees so that we can start doing the work of waste management, the work of dealing with issues of council. Why do they not want the committees to be constituted? Corruption. When we were away, major deals were entered into. Big deals that do not make sense. Deals that include the Pomona deal, where as the landlord, we are paying rentals on our property that we've leased to a company. We are supposed to be paying $40 for every ton of refuse we put into Pomona. A landlord gives you a lease. Instead of you paying the landlord rentals, it is the landlord who then pays you to stay in his house. Those are the deals that are there. Their deals are many to mention that have gone across the many towns. And they fear that if we reconstitute the committees, we will make resolutions that will reverse the number of deals. Our issue is service delivery. If there is something that was done properly and done according to council rules and regulations, we will not interfere. But if something was done anomalously, if something is contrary to public morals, if something is contrary to the dictates of common sense, common law, and is detrimental to the residents, how are we going to explain to the residents that we are going to increase your rates so that we pay rentals to people who are leasing from us? If something does not make sense, then it will be judged by the public and the appropriate forums that require that we deal with those issues. So these committees are crying. They do not want the committees. Zanu PF and MDCT are working together to enter into the last mile contracts. This is the home stretch towards 2023. This is the time where councillors and the corrupt officials beef their pockets. So we want to focus on service delivery. Our first committee meeting was going to be on the rubbish that you are seeing in the towns. When we were away, rubbish accumulated at an unprecedented rate. When we were away, drainages were not dealt with. When we were away, water is not being delivered. When we were away, everything has collapsed except the efficiency at which council properties are being looted and contracts are being entered into. Everything else has fallen out of kilter and out of place. So we received a circular from the minister saying that you should not, or purporting to prevent councils or newly elected councillors entering into committees, purporting to prevent them from reconstituting the committees. The minister is either ill-advised, wrongly advised, or it is the challenge of putting people who are past their retirement age in position. The man cannot simply read simple acts of the law. He quotes a section which speaks about the removal of mayors, deputy mayors, and councillors. That is not what we've done. We've simply reconstituted committees in terms of Section 96 of the Urban Councils Act. Section 96 of the Urban Councils Act simply states that a council can at any time appoint standing committees of councils and create new ones as it sees fit. In subsection 8 of that same Urban Councils Act, it allows us to reconstitute the members of those committees. And that is basically what we have done at a meeting of council. We have reconstituted the committees so that they can start meeting across the country and in Harare in particular. He sends a circular based on section 114 of the Urban Councils Act, which speaks about the removal of councillors. We have not sought to remove councillors. We have sought to recreate, reconstitute, in terms of section 96, the committees that are required for the service delivery in the cities. We are desperate to provide services to the residents. We need to clear the rubbish. We need to move the rubbish dumps, and we need to deliver where the rubbish should go. We need to deal with the issues of water. We need to deal with the issues of roads. We need to deal with the issues of the drainage. We need to deal with the ever-present threat of health dangers in the cities provided by COVID-19. And that is our key task. That was our key mandate. And that is what we were seeking to do by reconstituting the committees and putting in new members that have been elected, because they cannot function outside committees. What they have been doing over the past months when we were away, they have not been in office as councillors for 2 days. The minister and the Minister of Local Government has been approving unending trips inside and outside the country. They've visited almost every city that they can point blindfolded on an atlas map. They have visited Dubai, they have visited Paris, they have visited, you name it. It is a tourist paradise to be a councillor when the CCC councillors are not there. They have visited every corner, nook in this country every week when we were away. The records reflect. The amounts of money that are being spent on trips reflect. And they want to continue to do that. They want those committees to remain the same, so that by the time they leave office, they would have visited every tourist resort in the country with the approval of the Minister of Local Government. We understand that the Minister of Local Government is desperate to punish the urban populations for voting against Zanu. We know he has a mandate to exercise extreme cruelty to the residents of the cities. He is exercising it in a crude fashion, in a 1970s fashion, Mobutu Sese Seko, Empara Bokassa kind of leadership, Idi Amin type of leadership, where you simply punish groups of people simply because they didn't vote for your party. They voted for CCC councillors. They want to deliver on services. You then say they must sit there, they must not be put in committees, they must not change the committees, they must simply come in. Yes, we acknowledge you've been voted, but you must come in and become spectators. We cannot do that. We will not do that. We will instruct all our local government cities to ignore this directive to the extent of its illegality. We cannot allow the citizens to suffer or to be punished under our watch simply because they had faith in an alternative. And we implore all the other institutions of the state that we are going to deal with and to present these issues to understand that they also live in the cities. The judiciary also lives in the cities. It must not allow a situation where the executive subverts the will of the people. Parliament provides oversight on the Minister of Local Government. They must call an agent committee, parliamentary committee, that investigates these patently unconstitutional and illegal acts by the Ministry of Local Government. The citizens themselves must begin to act. The residents' associations must begin to act. Otherwise, we'll be punished by these sell-by dead politicians, by these people who should be retired, who cannot simply read acts that they are being given their custody. Right now, the provincial councils that needed to be constituted have not been constituted. Councillors are not being sworn in. Where they are being sworn in, the ministry itself puts out a circular to prevent the councils from meeting. We have received incessant phone calls from officials of councils, the legal departments, non-accounting officers, junior officers, who expect citizens and mayors to jump. They phone our officials to instruct them not to hold meetings. They phone on a daily basis. We've got PDCs, an unconstitutional structure of government, that phone every day, that call senior council officials, mayors and councillors to their offices outside protocol and give instructions on a day-to-day basis, which instructions are meant to punish and cripple service delivery. So, in short, we require that the citizens work with us in this path. We are going to meet this challenge head on. Yes, it is a temporary challenge. We've got options, and we've got the law on our side, and we've got the electorate on our side, which put us to deliver a particular mandate. And we are going to make sure that we exercise all our options to deal with these things. We'll ask, of course, the residents and the citizens to have patience as we deal with this challenge that has been presented by the Minister of Local Government. But it is illegal. So today, as we go to the weekend, when you hit a pothole, know that it is July Moyo who is interfering in service delivery. When the green bombers fly into your house, know that it is July Moyo under Zanu PF who is preventing committees of councils from working. When the sewage is overflowing, know that it is July Moyo who is preventing the councillors you elected from dealing with that sewage. When you see rubbish and the trucks not moving, know that it is July Moyo and this circular that is preventing the committees of councils from working. And we must visit the fault and the blame where it lies. We are here, we are available to deliver the services. We have been elected to do so, but we are being prevented from setting up committees and dealing with the leadership question of the councils where we've been elected into. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harare One, the Mayor. You have heard him for the benefit of other journalists who just arrived. We'll take a few questions before we close our press brief. So as per the tradition, you can introduce yourself, where you come from, and briefly, and then your question.
Thank you, So what's going on now? Because it seems as if you're saying what Minister July Moyo is doing is impeding council from acting. So what are the councillors doing now? Because if you're saying no portals being fixed, no rubbish being collected, so our councillors sitting, let's give us the status quo in council.
The status quo is that July Moyo and this ministry have prevented the elected councillors for a month to take up their duties. They are sitting because of the actions of the Ministry of Local Government. In Kwekwe, after a month, they've not been sworn in. In Chipinge, they tried to hold a meeting yesterday. The DDC, or whatever he calls himself, came into that meeting and started chairing a council meeting against all laws. He came and sat in, and not only did he sit to observe the proceedings.
Where we emerged victorious with the majority in Parliament and local council in terms of what was contested for. The Citizens Coalition is a new political movement in the politics of this country, whose intention and agenda is to transform the lives of ordinary people in this country. For the past 4 decades of Zimbabwe's independence, the Zimbabwean citizen has been relegated out of the center of the politics in this country, insofar as the following: number one, in terms of decision-making processes in this country, the policy craft and policy process in this country have relegated the citizens to the periphery. And again, in terms of undermining of the will of the people, as you know that in our previous formations, which were part and parcel of our individual and personal capacities, we face this kind of processes where citizens' choices in terms of elections, in terms of the outcome, where citizens, members of parliament and councillors were removed illegally out of council and parliament. So we see this continuation of the pattern in politics of this country where there is a deliberate undermining of the role and views and decisions by ordinary people in this country. Therefore, part and parcel of the critical agenda by the Citizens Coalition for Change is to make sure that we bring the citizens back at the center in terms of the politics in this country, in terms of the economy in this country, in terms of the social agenda. So come to today's press conference.